Welcome to the Styrian Mountains and welcome to the Red Bull Ring here in Austria. We're back for the double headers on Tuesday and we're back with the MX-5 Cup cars. First, it is Jan Nims on pole position at the moment, 48.377, 0.8 of a second ahead of anyone else in the field right now. We'll see if anybody can find some time to improve. It is one of the longer tracks this season that we run in the MX-5 Cup Summer Championship, and as always, I'm joined tonight by Laurinus.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our third championship round in this summer championship. Hi, Gustas, and hope you are all ready again for some nice racing action on the virtual racetrack. Well, the Red Bull Ring, what does it offer for drivers? Long straights, 3 slow turns, meaning that there are actually at least 3 possibilities for good overtake maneuvers. So hopefully we will see plenty of action in the MX-5 Cup races and of course later in the Porsche Cup Championship.
I was wrong, actually. We'll have the Daytona International Speedway road course. That will be the longest track of the season, but that's a lot of flat-out racing. It is a lot of flat-out racing here as well. You'll see drivers slipstreaming all the way through the field. Still waiting for a few drivers to set their qualifying laps, and obviously just a bit over half a minute to go in this session. Jan Nims running with a 15 kilo BOP, Yuri Lapo with a 20 kilo BOP, Kamatka with a 5 kilo BOP coming into this event. It is Lapo who leads the championship at the moment, but is equal on points with Jan Nims. Then it's Tarczali, Buric, Kovalevskis, Kamatka, your top 6. So that is your championship standing at the moment. Hacker disconnects from the session.
Well, he was standing in the pit lane for quite some time now, so maybe he had some issues or he was unable to leave the pit lane. So no time set for Hacker, who has already disconnected. And the last driver
from the back of the field to 7th.
Yep, he was the last driver from the 2 drivers who didn't set a lap time, so he managed to put himself into P7, while Jan Nims just put his personal fastest lap time of the session, and it's already more than 1 full second faster than the second placed driver Yuri Lapo. Tarczali crossing the line. No, he's back in the pit lane, so no better lap times for his rivals. Heisenberg, did he had the chance to start the next lap? I'm not sure, but in the meantime, Wu has just gained the 7th spot.
Yep. Tarczali improved on that last lap, but did not gain up into the front row, so you'll have the 2 championship challengers sitting on the front row of the grid, Nims and Lapo, and well, the gap is huge. It'll be difficult to do anything about that. I mean, the slipstream will play a huge effect around this place, but wow, I mean, 1.1 seconds, you can probably run away even in the slipstream, and with a 15 kilo BOP, just 5 kilo less than Yuri Lapo, who gained a bit more through round 1.
Oh, Heisenberg is returning to the pit lane. Yep, so looking at... Oh, and Jan Nims just went even faster, so 1 minute 47.8. Saldukas just had the second fastest lap time of the session, 1 minute 48.9, but it's still more than 1 full second faster for Jan Nims than the next fastest driver of the field. Shouldn't be hard work for Jan Nims to finish off this race in P1, but, well, as always, he needs to do a very good start and lose the slipstream. So Soldukas and Lapo, they will be looking at a very good start and try to stay as close as possible to the back end of the MX-5 driven by Jan Nimtz. That way they might get a slight chance to maybe try and gain one place, but that also shouldn't make the life of Jan Nimtz too difficult. Yep, so as usual, the qualifying session time has come to an end. We are still waiting for the session to finish and to start the first running of this evening. So let's take a quick look at the qualifying session results. So Jan Nimtz with an unexpected pole position, 1 minute 47.8. Justinas Soldukas managed to set a fast lap at the very end of the session. He will start second. Juri Lapo third. Alongside will be the car of Tarczali. Karnatka and McFly will start from row 3. Sergiunas and Vu starting the race from row 4. And it looks like we are getting ready to start the race. So Martin, Heisenberg, Habiciak, Simak, Gedzavicius, Mark, and it looks like Hacker is back into the game while the cars are ready to get rolling. So the white and orange car belongs to Jan Nimtz, while the yellow World Sim Series livery belongs to Justinas Soldukas on the left side of our screens.
Yep, we're ready to go once again. It is round 3 of the season. It's race 5 of the season, and away we go. Jan Nimtz keeps the lead down into turn 1, or at least should keep the lead down into turn 1. Looks pretty good. And having a look at Jan Nimtz once again. Beautiful run through turn 1. A little bit of a slide, but we'll see what action happens behind him. Soldukas holds on to second, third for Lapo, Tarczali in fourth, fifth for Kamatka, sixth for McFly, Vu in seventh, eighth for Sergiunas, Martin in ninth, 10th for Habicek. And as they run down into turn 3, the heavy braking zone here, uphill braking zone, so you can really brake late and fight for second position. That's Lapo v Soldukas. Tarczali in fourth, and already 0.9 of a second gap at the front of the field. Oh, somebody off. Somebody spun round. I think that's Mark and Simchak. And
Hacker was also included in that accident.
And side by side, that's Sergiunas getting past the Martin. Side by side between McFly and Vu for sixth, right up ahead. No other real side-by-side action on the circuit at the moment. Double too wide they go, and they go side-by-side once again. I think McFly's just about got that position. Sergiunas, though, he'll try and make a move on Martin. Still side-by-side, and has to back out of that one. So back to formation driving here. So
yeah, he'll use that slipstream after those two final corners. He will try to stay as close as possible to the back end of Martin. It looks like he didn't nail the penultimate corner. That gave a chance for Martin, and the drivers are still sliding around those corners because those tires are still, well, they are not cold anymore because they have just completed the first lap, but they are still not up to the optimum temperature, and Vu just lost one place, and it looks like there's a chance for Sergiunas, who breaks so late into turn 1. He will definitely not have a good exit from turn 1 into that longest straight of the track. Yep, so Vu managed to get that spot back for himself. This is a battle for P8. Closes the door, lines up himself for turn 2 to have a perfect turn in, aiming for that good exit. He loses 0.7 of a second to Martin, so no chance for trying and to try and gain at least one spot. So he has to settle down, running 8th. And he will look into the future of this race. As usual, we have a battle not only for the win in the first running, but we are fighting for pole position for the second race. And currently, Karnatka is holding strong in P5, though McFly is 0.5 of a second behind his rival. This is the battle for pole position for the second race, and it looks like Karnatka is not feeling too comfortable running 5th right now because, well, McFly, he seems to be at least slightly faster at this stage of running.
Yep, he does look a little bit quicker for the moment as they head into that braking zone. It's not a heavy braking zone, especially in these cars. For turn 9, then down into turn 10. Only 10 corners around this track. It is a very hilly, mountainous range of Austria. It's almost like at a bottom of the mountain. So the start-finish rate, the lowest point of the circuit. Karnatka, you can see McFly behind in his mirrors, but no move made just yet. McFly might have to wait for this one. If he's smart, he'll wait for this one, not make any rushed moves. Nim sets the fastest lap of the race, but doesn't have as big an advantage as he had in qualifying. Karnatka looks like he's braking quite late. This is Sergunas versus Wu, and they've got Heisenberg behind them as well, who's going to try and make something happen here. These MX-5 Cup cars, they're not super quick in acceleration, so it takes some time. As Heisenberg goes to the outside, Austrian flag at the bottom there, so home race for him.
Both cars brake pretty late, and it looks like Sargunas, he was defensive from Heisenberg, but somehow he managed to outbrake Wu into turn 3. So he had a slight chance of gaining one spot, but it looks like he kind of ran out of grip running around the outside. That's where Heisenberg tries his luck. Well, all of the drivers, they are looking...
Oh, and Heisenberg into the wall.
It looked to me like it was a hardware issue.
It looked like just a... might be, because he's not turning anymore. Nope, he's back to turning.
Yeah, it looked like it was that quick wheel disconnection because, well, he just went that straight into the barriers. It didn't look like he lost control of his car, but, well, he lost the place and hit the barriers. He's back on the racetrack, and we have the battle for P5. McFly managed to overtake Karnatka, but they are still fighting each other. Identical liveries for both of the drivers. Not sure if they are teammates or is just a coincidence.
This is the Ring Freaks livery.
Yeah, so it's free for every user. Yep, they are not running for the same team, so they are battling it out for the pole position for the second race. Karnatka, he lost that place, but he managed to get back. Much more clever driving by McFly into turn 3. So he made himself a better entry, which let him get back on the power earlier. Now the inside of the corner belongs to McFly, and it looks like Karnatka, well, he just left enough of space for McFly to overtake him, and he'll try to stick as close as possible to the back end of McFly's car. While Martin, he's 1 second behind these drivers, but as soon as drivers start battling each other, they lose a couple of tenths in every corner if the battle is strong. So Martin has still has a small chance to get into this fight and try to start the second race from the first place.
It's very interesting with the way the circuit is, how wide it is compared to these MX-5 cars. We're seeing... that was a big mistake. He's still sideways, but holds on to it for now. That does lose him a position to Martin. But what I was going to say is that you can really hold out on the outside here. We haven't seen this at many circuits, but for drivers, it's not that easy to make a move down the inside because you can carry just a little bit more momentum around the outside, and that kind of helps you keep the position. The turns are long, they're flowing. You don't have these sharp corners. Well, I mean, except this one, I guess. But a lot more chances to stay around the outside. Karnatka very late on the brakes. I thought he was going to hit Martin up ahead, but doesn't happen.
Maybe it was Martin who was slightly earlier on the brakes, and Karnatka didn't expect his rival to brake so early.
A pretty stressful situation to make that corner. Down the inside tries, Karnatka, doesn't happen, and tried to back out of it and came back onto it. Small nudge to the side of Martin and gets that position. Rubbin's racing. Interesting to see him commit to the move, back out of it, and then realize he can commit again. But now it's gone the way of Martin now, because Martin can now try and make something happen here, use that slipstream. There's a slide for Karnatka off the road, and that's definitely just a slide. And, well, that kind of confirms Martin in 6th. He's going to try and catch McFly for that golden ticket pole position. Wu gets past Karnatka as well, so many positions lost with just a couple of mistakes.
It looks like Heisenberg is out of this race. At least I don't see the name of the driver. Yep, he has disconnected. So probably he had some issues with his hardware. That's why he went straight in that 5th or 6th turn of the racetrack.
Yep, so probably hardware issue, and it's T7, T8, that section. But yeah, I think he had to fix his issue, and hopefully we'll see him back for race 2.
Yep, and let's not forget that there's going to be another race after the second MX5 race finishes, and some of the drivers that race in the MX5 championship, they also attend the Porsche Cup Summer Championship. So I'm not sure if Heisenberg starts the Porsches, but if he'll do that, he will need to fix his hardware pretty soon. Karnatka, he has the speed advantage, but, well, he constantly makes mistakes. Now he has to deal with the red car, which is driven by Wu, and it looks like it's not the easiest task for Karnatka. So he had the provisional pole position at one moment, then he lost one place, then he lost another one. Now he's running 8th, trying to, well, get back at least to P6, though he's 5 tenths behind Wu and already 3.7 seconds behind Martin, while look at the gap that the leader has. Well, it's 5.4 seconds. 47.9 was the previous lap time by Jan Nimts, 48.7 the lap time of Justina Saldukas. Doesn't look too bad for, well, Jan Nimts' rivals during the race session, as it looked during the qualifying session, though, well, Saldukas just probably made a mistake on the previous lap, 149.4, so that's 1.5 seconds slower.
Yep. For Heisenberg, he's not running in the Porsche Cup Series, just looking through the registered drivers, so we'll not see him there. It's Karnatka versus Wu once again as they run down into the braking zone for turn 3. The very, very tight hairpin, the slowest corner of the track, and I think Karnatka has just about done it round the outside. Impressive move.
Yep, that much braver on the brakes, actually. He already passed Wu during the braking zone. Identical cars. It looks like, well, maybe Karnatka has just that a few more hours of seat time running around this racetrack, or he at least knows the brakes of this MX5 car much better than his rival. And Wu is already falling into the clutches of Sargiunas. All the battles happening at the end of the top 10 places, because doesn't look too much of action in front. McFly is 1.7 seconds behind Tarczali. He's trying to gain on his rival. He was 5 tenths of a second faster the last time they crossed the line, but it's 2 minutes 14 seconds till the clock will run out, and Jan Nimts just crossed the line, meaning we just started the penultimate lap of this race.
Yep, penultimate lap of the race for your leader, Jan Nimts. He's extended his gap to 6 seconds now as he sets another fastest lap of the race. Here's Sergunas versus Wu. So Wu really losing pace towards the back end of the race here. Around the outside, tries to do a move, doesn't happen.
Wu just cut quite a lot of the entry, and he just received a drive-through penalty. Yep, so that was a bit too much of track that he tried to cut. That means that Sargunas will gain the 8th spot easily without even having to make that move on the racetrack, though there's still plenty of...
Oh! Well, okay.
Yeah, you never know what to say in situations like these. So one driver lost control, the other kind of didn't back out of it, just went straight on, didn't have the time to react. I wonder what the stewards will say after the race for that kind of an accident.
I think it's probably going to be down to a racing incident. And, well, that doesn't change much in terms of Wu's situation, who's still going to have to do that drive-through penalty. Maybe we'll just lose a bit more time, and maybe we'll lose a position or two.
148.3, the lap time of Justinas Saldukas. That doesn't look too bad already. That's 4/10 slower than the fastest lap time of Jan Nimts. So hopefully Justinas Saldukas will get even more, or will find even more pace for the last run. 147.7 for Nimts. 148.3 again for Justinas Saldukas.
Faster than qualifying for Nims, by the way, because Nims set a 47.8 in qualifying. That's quicker than his qualifying time. Everyone behind them, however. Lapo, fastest lap of a 48.9. Last time round, 49.1. Not looking good for everybody else. Still losing over a second a lap. So Lucas has managed to reduce that gap. I think he had the benefit of seeing how Jan Nims drives, seeing his lines, seeing where he brakes, and maybe just improving a little bit.
Yeah, probably. So McFly just found some nice pace. He's running 5th, but his personal fastest lap time is currently 3rd on the table, and he'll start from pole position if he'll make no mistakes on this final lap. That's gonna be an interesting... That should be an interesting battle between, well, at least Saldukas, Lapo, Tarczali and McFly during the second race. I'm pretty sure Jan Nimts will not take too long battling his rivals, especially on the racetrack like Red Bull Ring, where, well, you have a wide track, you have a slow-paced car, and quite a lot of opportunities to overtake and even wait out for a perfect move. So around the penultimate corner, Jan Nimts, he should easily win this first race and put himself in a nice position in this championship.
Yep, that is another win for Jan Nimts on World Sim Series. Justinas Saldukas will take 2nd place, so no change from qualifying. No change for 3rd as well, as Yuri Lapo finishes there. 4th for Tarczali, just about though.
I think it was a lap car.
No, that was a lap car. Okay,
that's Hacker.
Yeah. Okay. So no changes in the top 4. They finished how they started: Nims, Saldukas, Lapo, Tarczali. And then 5th, and the golden ticket for pole position race 2 goes to McFly. Then it's Martin Karnatka, who started in 5th and kept dropping places. Sergunas, Gedzavicius, Hacker, Wu, Habicek, Mark, Shimchak, and Heisenberg, who did not complete the race.
Yep, so the final results on your screens, and congratulations to the top 5 finishers, especially McFly, with finding some nice pace on the penultimate laps, which might promise us some interesting battles during the second race. And let's take a short break, and we'll get back on the track as soon as the short break will finish. So as usual, we have a short break between the races for the drivers to get some rest time, prepare themselves for the second race. I believe it's not gonna take too long now to wait until we see the lights go out for the second race of the third championship round in the MX5 Cup Summer Championship. A nice time to look at the cars and the liveries that the drivers are competing in this championship. So some drivers use the custom livery possibilities presented by the World Sim Series platform, and some of the drivers just use the default skins of the Assetto Corsa title. Soldukas, of course, running the World Sim Series livery. The guy responsible for a lot of features that World Sim Series has to offer. Tarczali, beautiful PWT livery. He should be starting the second race from P2, just behind this yellow-gray Ring Freaks car.
Well, not behind, he'll be right next to him.
Well, yeah, he's slightly behind, but mostly right next to him, and there we go. We are ready to get rolling. Just a couple of seconds until we see the lights go out, and plenty of action. 15 minutes of pure racing. Second race is about to start.
Second race about to get going. It's the sixth race of the championship. It's the third round of the championship. We'll see what can Jan Nims do from fifth position. What can McFly do from pole? And we're off once again. Looks like a difficult getaway for McFly. I think they're going to be side by side down into turn one with Tarczali. Everybody else staying in position. Maybe McFly's just about got it down into turn one. Side by side, though, between Nims and Soldukas. Nims takes that position. Lapo versus Tarczali now side by side. I think Nims might just about make it free wide down this back straightaway. He does make it free wide as Lapo losing a bit of pace. Not that great of an exit, and I think Jan Nims is about to go up into second as they break down into turn three. Big braking zone, a little bit wide from Tarczali, and that gives a great chance to Jan Nims. Jan Nims already up into second. Soldukas down into fifth, and in the battles there, there's Kamatka. He's watching Soldukas on the right-hand side of your picture as Karnatka runs wide and a little bit off-road. Whoop tries to take that 8th place off of him. Does so pretty successfully. Lapo's gotten past Tarczali, and yeah, he's gotten past him now.
Yep, so plenty of action during the first lap of the MX5 Championship, the second race. But it's running well for Jan Nims so far. McFly, he has found some pace in the final laps of the first run, and he's still running first, so he should be the driver who will cross the line in P1, and he'll have that one lap leading the race in the statistics of this evening. Yep, he should do that safely. Soldukas right on the tail of Tarczali, and he's looking for some position gains. Soldukas finished second, so he's definitely aiming for a similar result in the second race. Should be up in P4. Yep, braked a little bit late, so he was hard on the brakes. That should compromise his exit on the longest straight of this racetrack. Still managed to get that spot, and Martin... Mike Martin, I believe, he had a good exit, and he'll be looking to the inside of the corner. They are arriving now. Tarczali braking pretty late, just trying to defend that position. I think Vu and Karnatka in the background, they were battling side by side, and Vu is dropping places. Yep, there was some contacts between the drivers. Vu has spun around on the exit of turn 3. That doesn't leave Karnatka, Martin, Tarczali, and Soldukas to not battle. How late on the brakes was Martin. Oh, such a different driving style from the drivers, and as soon as they run so close to each other, it looks really dangerous. Looking from the outside camera, sometimes you might think that the drivers might end up crashing each other. By the way, Nemts is already running first, so only one lead lap for McFly. Still some nice statistics of the race this evening for McFly. And he has a 1.5 seconds gap against Yuri Lapo, so his main task should be try and sit in that slipstream of the race leader for as long as possible. He needs to nail those corners and just try and run as close to the back end of the car of Jan Nimts. Oh, was that Justinas Soldukas really wide on the exit of turn 8? Still manages to run 4th. But yep, it was a mistake. So Tarczali right on the tail of Justinas Soldukas, and it doesn't look too easy for Justinas in the second race. Good news for him is that the drivers behind it keep contacting with each other and running so close to each other.
I mean, also, if they're smart, they're not gonna try and make any crazy moves on Soldukas, and they've kind of lost that opportunity now. But they know the speed of him, and fighting him would really not make sense. Would just really slow you down in this whole battle. Heisenberg doing a good job up into 8th from last on the grid. So recovering really well.
Yep, and he's really enjoying this battle happening right in front of him. He's 3.5 seconds down on this battling group. With Volp, he can have nice pace, so that should allow him to gain on the
I'm not sure he sees that battle too well. 3.7 seconds in an MX-5 is pretty long time. Yeah, that battle's quite far away. It looks like 3 ants in front of you rather than 3 race cars. As he makes a mistake, he has got Sergunas right on his tail, trying to make something happen.
A lot of understeer was on the front axle of Heisenberg. I think he didn't... he went into the corner a little bit too fast, which compromised his exit and gave a nice shot for Sergunas, who is doing good job on this overtake. Takes a tighter line into the last corner, still manages to get back on that power quite early. As we get back to the battle in front, this is Tarczali against Martin, fighting for P5. That's not a provisional pole position anymore, it's just a battle for a better finishing place in this second race. Mike Martin is currently 5th. I believe it's Mike Martin. It kind of comes out from my head looking at the name, and I just continue to call the driver Mark. Yeah, it's Mike. Oh, Karnatka runs right into the tail of Martin, and he spun around the driver. It was a beautiful battle, but it came a little bit too close at one point of this race, while Heisenberg and Sergunas, they keep rubbing the doors while running down the straight. Martin will definitely not be happy about the outcome of that nice battle. He still has a chance to overtake 3 cars in front of him. He had the pace. He just needs to deal with his rival as fast as possible. Hadbiciak is currently 9th. I think he'll be easily overtaken by Martin. Into turn 5. That's actually turn 4, approaching turn 5, which is...
it's a 7. We're looking at turn 7.
I think we have different track maps.
I think you miss half the track if that's turn 5.
Yeah, I have a map which has 8 corners on it in total, so definitely...
Map with 10, so... 2 better.
Yeah, we should try and use the same map if possible.
Alright, this is looking at... Oh, that's actually very wide from Heisenberg. This is going to give a chance for Martin to make that move back up. And Martin into 8th. But this battle's going to continue on for much, much longer, I think. I well, they would have to work together to catch back up to Sergunas. I think if there's 1 or 2 more moves, that battle's all. That battle would be very difficult for 7 to catch back up. Sergunas at the moment, he doesn't have anybody in front of him to pull him round the track, so he's very vulnerable from the cars behind him.
Yep, Martin is going for a move, 0.2 of a second on the exit of third of the second corner. Approaching turn 3, Mark Martin, he has overtaken Sergunas, but not without a contact. Still managed to stay in front, and it looks like Sergunas, who hit the back end of Martin, he lost a little bit more speed than his rival. That allowed Heisenberg to get right on the tail of the Lithuanian driver, and he'll be looking down the inside just before...
It's not gonna happen. We've seen this move being tried, actually tried by Heisenberg as well, but it looks so difficult in this left-hander. Even if you go quite far inside, it does look like that outside line, they just carry so much more momentum around the outside that you can't really do anything on the inside. No, even with a track with so many straights, overtaking, not the easiest thing, even in low-powered cars. Nim's fastest lap of the race, once again, no surprises there. Soldukas, though, catching up to Lapo.
Yep, he's trying. He was faster in the first race than his rival, but if Lapo will avoid making mistakes, that should make the life pretty hard for Justinas Soldukas.
In 6/10 last lap, so it's...
Yeah, but I'm speaking more about the pace of Lapo and Soldukas and comparing it. What the drivers
that's what
had.
I'm saying.
Yep, it
Lapo was 6/10 slower.
Oh,
so.
yeah, yep, you're completely right. So it's still possible for Soldukas to gain on Lapo, but well, Soldukas, he kind of always makes those small mistakes. He can be fast, but I don't know why he's always making the life for himself a little bit more complicated. So maybe he's just right on the edge of his pace. That's why he's not always able to avoid.
He's definitely struggled this lap. There hasn't been so much gain, maybe a little bit more gain on the exit here, but yeah, he's going to gain some time around the lap, but definitely not as much as he did in previous laps, which is strange as he's starting to pick up that slipstream. Lapo, though, losing some time from McFly.
Yep, McFly finished 5th, but it looks like he didn't have a lot of time to practice before this race, because it looks like he's just picking up the pace during the race that's taking place. Well, 149.0 for McFly, 148.4 for Soldukas. So Soldukas is definitely faster than both of the drivers ahead of him, but
he might have a good chance now. He's much closer. He's going to use that slipstream, and he needs to make the move now if he wants to get in front. Here we go. Braking zone down into turn 3.
Yeah, still looking for a better exit, so he'll be looking into turn 4 this time.
Lapo's not really defending that one, so strange that he doesn't want the fight, but maybe understands that it's a difficult fight and would be difficult to keep a driver about half a second a lap quicker behind. So Lucas makes that move for the final podium position.
I'd say Lapo has just taken a really difficult decision, but well, I think what he decided here is not to battle Soldukas, who was faster than both of the drivers ahead of Soldukas, so including Lapo and McFly, and he'll just hope to stick on with Soldukas to try and catch up with McFly. But an easy overtake, well, it looked easy, and it looked like that both of the drivers didn't lose a lot of time. They still lost roughly half of a second in the battle for P2. So 1.8 seconds between McFly and Soldukas, and it doesn't look possible for both of the drivers to gain onto the driver who is currently running second. That should be the personal best for McFly as he crosses the line. Indeed it is 1:48.8. So Soldukas was still faster than McFly, but Juri Lapo, he lost 1 full second in the battle with the driver who is currently second. So 1 minute and 48 seconds. That means we are on the penultimate lap of this third round and on the second race. No problems for Jan Nimtz, 5.7 seconds lead. I should be feeling pretty comfortable, but oh, Juri Lapo braking so late and so deep into turn 3. Yeah, I have to double check the naming of the corners to have it the same, then to have the corners named the same way that Gustav has on his map.
Definitely turn 3 for that one. Your track map just didn't count the kinks.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
the only difference.
Oh, Soldukas running wide, and yep, he just clipped the gravel. Not too bad, but I think that buries his chances in the battle for P2. So he's 1.8 seconds behind his rival, and well, we are catching the end of the race quite fast.
Just a little bit desperate there. Makes sense. I mean, he's got nothing to lose really. Lapo's quite far behind, so even a small mistake won't change much. But yeah, just trying everything to make something happen, and didn't happen this time.
Yep. So that leaves us with a nice battle towards the back end of the top 10. And this is a battle for P8 between Martin and Heisenberg.
This battle we've seen for a while.
Yeah.
Whole race, yeah, they've been together. That's tied into the final turn. And not really a place you often make a move. Heisenberg 8, 9 for Martin. Heisenberg in the blue Red Bull liveried machine. Martin in the white, and that's yellow accents on it. Oh, that's definitely too late on the brakes. No way he's making that turn, and 2 places down. Heisenberg down to 10th, Mickevicius 9th, Martin into 8th.
Well, you can definitely say it was a nice try by Heisenberg to cover off that move, or, well, to try and gain that spot, but I don't know, he got somehow blinded by his rival and didn't see the correct brake points. Well, 1 second was just 1 second between McFly and Soldukas. It looks like Soldukas just made a small mistake, and the gap went back up to 1.3 seconds, and just a couple of corners remain for all of the drivers in this race. I believe no chance remain for Justin Soldukas to finish off this one in P2, but I believe P2 finish in the first race and P3 finish in the third race should grant P2 overall in the third round for Justin Soldukas. So nice amount of points will get collected by the driver. Wonder who'll get the third spot in the overall standings. That's a fight between McFly and Juri Lapo. So Jan Nimtz taking the checker flag. McFly finishes second. Wonderful second race for McFly. Soldukas finishes third. Lapo crosses the line fourth. Tarczali just gained on the back marker. He finishes fifth. Karnatka sixth. Sergiuna 7th, Martin takes that 8th spot, Mickevicius should finish 9th, and Heisenberg after that braking mistake into turn 1. He'll cross the line in P10, actually that's P10, and yeah, Mickevicius 9th. And some shuffle happening in the leaderboard because some of the drivers have been overtaken by 1 full lap by the leading pack of this race. So these are the results of the second race of the third round in the MX5 Cup Summer Championship. Congratulations to Jan Nimtz. Didn't look as a really difficult race. Well, actually both of the races looked pretty easy for the driver from Germany. McFly, great race. of this weekend, while Saldukas, well, he managed to pick up the final podium step, and I think that's gonna still be P2 overall this afternoon. So thanks for being with us in the MX5 Championship. That means that we are taking a short break, and we'll be back soon with more racing from Red Bull Ring, because the Porsche Cup Championship is just around the corner. So stick with us, and we'll be back live from some more racing action from the track from Austria.
Welcome back to the qualifying session. It is Tarianos on pole position, provisional pole position, as Matas Mendelis completes his final qualifying attempt here. Simon Speff up into second.
Matas Mendelis.
Pole. Yeah. Oh, big slide. I don't think that's going to be pole with a slide that big. But we'll see what happens out of the final corner. Nope, that he backs out of that one for sure.
But still, it's still good pace for Matas Mendelis. He is the only driver who carries 30 kilograms together with himself around the virtual track of Red Bull Ring of his previous achievements. So Talianos has only 10 kilograms, Speth only 5 kilograms, Mickevicius with 5 kilograms, and we have Neirola who carries around the 10 kilograms on his vehicle.
Yeah,
so
that's an outlap for him. So Dukas faster. Nope, not faster.
Well, he stays 5th, so Leo Bryan still on a fast lap as the time of the qualifying session has ended. I think Mertz and Lapo are still on a flyer, but they are a little bit further down the pack and off the pace. Well, Lapo, he joined this qualifying session slightly later because he was battling in the MX5 Cup Championship. So he might go slightly faster, and indeed he does. So he's up to P8, and Leo Bryan should cross the line soon, and he has a chance to pick up a couple of spots. Crosses the line, and did he go faster? No.
He went faster, but not an improvement in position.
So, and that's the end of the third qualifying session of the championship. So pole position goes to Talianos. Speth will start alongside him. Mendelis third, together with Mickevicius. Soldukas, Leo Bryan from row 3. Neirola and Lapo row 4. Biberacher 9th. Batok 10th. Mertz and McFly 11th and 12th, Martin with Gdzavicius 13th and 14th, and Gonzalo 15th. So Gonzalo didn't put in a very fast lap, 2 minutes 3. Did he have some technical issues? I believe Gonzalo, he was faster in the previous rounds. So maybe some technical issues. Well, definitely some technical issues. 32.5 seconds off the pace. That's not a normal qualifying session pace. So if he'll have his issues fixed, he should be there during this race. As usual, the Porsche Cup races are slightly more interesting. Well, because of the single fact that you have to have at least a Pro-M license in the World Sim Series platform to try, well, to start in this championship. Yep, and as usual, a short break between the sessions, which has just come to an end, and we get ourselves on the grid, nicely lined out. The old 911, are these 991.1 or 991.2 models in the Assetto Corsa title?
Let's have a look. 2017. That would be a .2, I believe.
Okay, so no traction control, no ABS. Pure racing action with the car, which is technically already an older generation. They are not easily handleable. So definitely a need for a higher driver's license to start in this race for clean fighting as we get ourselves ready.
Ready to go once again, and we're off. Italianos looks like he's held the lead down into turn 1, but they're going to be side by side, and Speff actually gets it on the braking. Big slide on the exit, tires cold, brakes cold as well. Mendelis in third. He's going to try and make a move here. Mickevicius as well. Italianos to the outside, Speff to the inside, Mendelis to the inside, Mickevicius to the outside, too wide. They all come. Big lockup from somebody further behind. Italianos loses another spot, and I think Mendelis in the lead.
Yep, nicely done by Matas Mendelis. So he nailed that braking spot and he managed to get in front of all of the drivers. That's gonna be a struggle for Matas Mendelis with a very heavy car, but if he'll be able to avoid mistakes, I believe he just locked out a little bit into turn 4. Manages to stay out in front. Justinas Soldukas up to P3, so whom have we lost? I think that's Italianos. He dropped down to P5, right in front of O'Brien. We should use some wider camera angles to catch up with all the action happening on the racetrack. And
dropped down far from pole to 5th. Very difficult start for Italianos on board with O'Brien. He can see that battle in front as everybody gets back into line.
Yep.
No moves made through the final 2 turns. Smart.
Someone's off the racetrack. That's Matas Mickevicius, went wide on the runoff area. We have some track limits on the Red Bull Racing track, so the drivers have to be careful, and that's the inside for Lee O'Brien up on Italianos. So our pole sitter is really struggling at the very beginning of this race. That's Lapo who tries to gain now on the drivers battling in front, but not a good start for Italianos, who was the fastest driver in the qualifying session. Mendelis already 8 seconds gap against Speff, who is more concerned to what's happening behind him. That's Soldukas trying to use that slipstream, and he is forced to use the outside line into turn 3. Both cars brake really late.
That might just about make that move stick, actually, around the outside. He's going to have the inside line now. And gets it done just about. And I think Speff's not going to come back here. Nope. And it's a World Sim Series 1-2 in this race. Soldukas now holding up the rest of the pack. Mendelis a chance to run away.
This one go off the racetrack.
Now side by side almost with Mickevicius. Mickevicius will try and make a move maybe into the final turn. Nope, backs out of it. Italianos coming back into it. I think getting his tires back up to relative temperature. Goes down the inside, does Mickevicius. Speff losing places once again as well. So, nope, Mickevicius very wide off and loses that spot to Speff. I think he's going to lose it to Italianos as well. Italianos coming back into it. See if we can do something. Nope, Speff covers up the inside. Big break and big hit from the rear by Mickevicius. And this battle will continue to run. Soldukas has a gap over Speff now. And Mickevicius is now under threat from O'Brien. Lapo in there as well. Somebody off, definitely.
Was that Italianos or... yep, I think that was Italianos who went wide. So tries to brake as late as possible, and sometimes it's really hard to master without the ABS system on the Porsche cars. The drivers definitely have the ability to tune the brake balance to their liking, and well, the tires should be already to the optimum temperature, and the drivers should be worried about keeping the temperature in the right positions.
So Italianos, big slide from Lapo there, keeps it under control. 10 more minutes to go in race 1. Top 5 reversed, right? Or is it top 10 for this one?
Top 5 should be also top 5
yep,
as
yep.
in the MX5 championship. But so far so good for Matas Mendelis, though it's still a long way to go till the finish line, and he's still carrying the heaviest ballast of them all, but being able to avoid
from set the fastest lap of the race.
But yeah, well, he managed to get himself out of all the battles of the first 2 laps, which kept him in the lead. Remember, Justinas Saldukas still battled Simon Speth in the second lap. That's where Matas Mendelis had the opportunity to gain his lead, and actually during the qualifying session, Saldukas, he was only 5th loan from pace, and his nearest rival Talianos is currently 4th. So this is quite a good scenario for our current championship leader Matas Mendelis. He just needs to keep his head cool and avoid those mistakes, and he'll have a very difficult second running if he finishes first in this one.
Well, looking at how well he's managed those cold tires, I think that's the big differential here. Talianos, Speth, they couldn't manage that cold tire as well as Mendelis and Saldukas. That maybe that will come back towards the end of the race. Maybe some different tire pressures as well.
31.7 for Justinas Saldukas, so he just chopped off 3/10 of the lead of Matas Mendelis. Is now down to 1.3.
Lock up Talianos. A little bit wide from Talianos after that lock up down into turn 1. He's going to leave the door open for Mickevicius as they run into the kink at 2 and then the hard braking zone at 3. And I think Mickevicius might just about have this position.
Yep.
He does. Yep.
Oh, that's a really difficult race for Talianos, our pole sitter, and he's currently in the provisional pole position for the second race, but having O'Brien right on his tail while he's interested with the fourth place that currently belongs to Matas Mickevicius. Both of the drivers brake so late into turn 5. That's a magic how they managed to stay on the track, and respectful driving from 3 of them. O'Brien patiently waiting behind the drivers, and he just keeps looking for an empty spot on the racetrack where he could gain at least 1 position against his rivals. But that's not the race currently happening for Talianos. He's 5th, and by the way, look at the gap between Mendelis and Saldukas. It's beginning to drop dramatically. It's already 0.8 of a second, and we still are only halfway through the first race. So that's definitely a really hard task for Matas Mendelis to maintain that speed, and I think he's struggling with the tires with that additional weight. I think the maximum BOP is 35 kilograms in this championship. Someone lost the pace. I think that's Lapo. Yep, that's Lapo who went back on the power tiny bit too soon and lost the back end of his Porsche. And there's going to be plenty positions lost for Lapo, who was doing a nice job after that MX5 Cup race. Oh, and 1.7 seconds again between Matas Mendelis and Justinas Saldukas.
Mistake from Saldukas somewhere?
Yep, so most definitely he had the fastest lap time the last time they crossed the line, but I think he lost roughly 1 second during this one, so that's good news for Matas Mendelis.
To see the gaps, big lockup from somebody behind there. That's Mertz, I think, who had the lockup. Neirola has a chance at P8. But gonna be difficult to do anything around the outside here unless he finds a way down the inside. He does. Now let's see if this move works in Porsche Cup. It does if you make it early enough. And up into 8th, Neirola, after that mistake by Mertz. Ahead of them, the battle for 6th. This is, yep, 2 battles very close on track as white car behind runs very, very wide.
Oh, Saldukas making mistakes further into this race. Only 3/10 separating Saldukas and Speth, and already 2.3 seconds behind Matas Mendelis. So, Justinas Saldukas, he still holds the fastest lap time of this race, but those mistakes that he keeps making, they don't help him with the race pace. Well,
very
now
fast lap from Speth as well, 31.6.
Yeah.
As down the inside goes Biberacher. down the inside of Batok. And I think he's going to make that one stick. They're going to run side by side. Nope, not anymore. I thought they were going to run side by side down into that braking zone. They are, actually, but holds on to P6. Maybe not, actually. They're still side by side, but also leaving a lot of space, these two. And Batok, he's going to try and make it down the inside once again. Not going to happen.
Oh!
And big slide, huge slide.
I think Biebenacher thought that Batok will go on him, and well, he tried to keep to leave enough space, and he braked a little bit too late into that corner, lost the back end of the car, and well, opened the door wide open for Batok to get him back into P6. So battle continues, and I'm still watching the gap between Justin Saldukas and Simon Speth. It's still 0.4 of a second. Mickevicius is further down the grid behind the drivers, so they should be safe to battle it out if they think about something like a battle for P2. While we keep watching this one between three drivers already, that's Neirola, Biebenacher and Batok.
Stabilize that gap for second, both of them setting lap times in the 31.8. This battle continues to rage on. Neirola just watching in the background, doesn't really know what to do, doesn't really have a chance to do anything, and now he's under attack by Mertz as well.
I think he watched that battle a little bit too closely and made a mistake by himself, and that's Mertz. Right on the outside into turn 4. I think Neirola managed to cover that off, but he'll have a little bit more work to do to try and gain on the cars in front. And actually Mertz is just backed out of it and let Neirola go further. Look at P2. So sadly, we missed the battle between Speth and Saldukas, but now Speth, he went back to P2, and the gap between the leader and second position is only 1.7 of a second. Matas Mendelis also made a mistake somewhere on the racetrack. He was actually slower than Justinas Saldukas, who lost out to Simon Speth, so Simon Speth is on the run right at the very end of the first race of the third round in the Porsche Cup Summer Championship on the Red Bull Ring track. I think Mendelis, well, he'll still have enough of pace to stay in front of these two drivers as we run on the penultimate lap of the first race.
Still under pressure. Definitely. So Lucas making more mistakes as he locks up once again. And difficult for him. Very, very difficult. As he's lost those positions. Matas Mendelis really dropping pace now at the front, but I think he's just about going to be safe in the lead of this one. Definitely differences in the way they use their tires. Mendelis much quicker in the beginning of the race. Then it's Speth coming back at him.
Wonder if that's, well, from driving precision, the pace on the opening laps as the tires are cold, or that's just a matter of a different setup.
Well, it could be tire pressures. I mean, the difference in Mendelis dropping time and well, Speth gaining time is too big. Too big for it to just be just regular time loss because of driving. I think it's the pressures, and we'll see what they decide to do for race 2. I think Mendelis will have a much bigger task on his hands. This is Neirola versus Batok for 7th.
Yep, on the very last lap of the first race. Neirola is trying his best to gain that spot back. He was in front of Batok, but he didn't avoid a small mistake, which pushed him back behind car number 12. And it doesn't look that he'll have a lot of chances to finish this race off in front of his rival, while Matas Mendelis approaching the final 2 corners of the racetrack. The gap is down to 1 second, but it looks like Matas Mendelis just nailed at least the setup of his car for the first race. Will kind of manage to see through all the action happening on the racetrack in race 1, and taking the checkered flag, definitely enjoys that very much. Speth finishing second, Soldukas third, Mickevicius fourth, O'Brien fifth. Back to the battle. By the way, O'Brien taking the pole position, and Batok and Neirola still running really close, while Biberacher finishes sixth, Batok finishes seventh. Neirola has to enjoy the 8th spot on the grid. McFly 10th, Lapo only P11.
Lapo had a difficult race. Difficult race 1 here. But again, Matas Mendelis, well, he picked the perfect strategy. As long as you win, you win. So it was important to gain that time in the first few laps. He gained it. And, well, he never looked back.
Yep, so a perfect first race for Matas Mendelis. I think he'll try to repeat at least a similar action in the second race. That's not going to be the easiest task, especially as we have already seen the pace drop of Matas Mendelis towards the end of this race, and maybe the other drivers will kind of figure out a similar strategy if they'll decide to cover off the moves of the Lithuanian in the first laps. But I'm pretty sure the drivers will stick up to their original strategy, and that's going to be Leo O'Brien, who will start the second race from the first place. Mickevicius will start second, Soldukas third, Speth fourth, and Mendelis fifth. Biberacher sixth, Batok seventh, Neirola eighth, Mertz ninth, McFly 10th, Lapo 11th, Gonzalo, he finished 12th from the last spot without a qualifying lap time. Martin 13th, Getsavicius 14th, oh, and Talianos, provisional, well, the previous pole sitter, he finished 15th, and he'll have to start the race from the very back of the pack. That's going to be a really difficult task for Talianos in the second Porsche race, as we get ourselves ready with a very short break between the races. I think we have roughly 2 minutes until we see the cars lined up on the grid, so we can wait it out a little bit and make a short break until we get back with some action for the second run.
Welcome back to the Red Bull Ring. It's time for Race 2 here, it's the 6th race of the season. Matas Mendelis still leads the standings. We'll see if he can gain some spots in this reverse grid second race. It is Mendelis in 5th after he won race 1, and we're off. Let's see if he can have that blistering pace of the first stint. We do have O'Brien, who started on that reverse grid pole position. Big slide by someone there, not sure who.
That's Mickevicius, I believe.
A chance for O'Brien to run away. Mendelis trying to make moves. If he's running that same tire strategy, he knows he needs to make those moves early. Oh, side by side, big lockup.
Again, turn 3, and Mendelis tried to outsmart his rivals by braking slightly earlier, and all the drivers in front did just brake really late into that corner, locked up the brakes, and didn't have a good exit. Well, Mendelis up to P4, not good enough as it was in first race. Saldukas clips the gravel, and he runs a little bit into the way of Matas Mendelis. Matas has to lift, and that allowed Biberacher to gain a couple of spots, actually 2 spots already.
Yep, up into the podium positions now. Will Soldukas fight Mendelis just as hard? Maybe. He holds on to that position for now. Mendelis back down to 5th, while Speth up into 2nd. He's 1.5 behind Leo Bryan, but maybe a chance to catch up. Maybe a chance to put a little bit of a gap over his rivals and over Mendelis. Neirola sits 2nd in the championship. Coming into this one, Talianos getting tagged and making mistakes. The pole sitter down to 12th. Well, pole sitter race 1 and just struggled all the way through. This is the battle for 2nd position. Speth versus Biberacher. And we'll try and see if he can make a move here to the outside. I think Speth's going to hold on to this one. It's going to be hard to make a move around the outside of turn 3. Big lockup from Speth. I don't think he's going to hold it. Able to cross that line on the exit. Speth not losing too much time to Leo Bryan just yet, but I think Biberacher, if he can make that move into turn 4, he might just make this a bit more difficult. Speth, another huge lockup, but holds on to 2nd. Incredibly holds on to 2nd, but I'm sure his tires are feeling it. A lot of flat spotting.
Yep, so the plan for Matas Mendelis didn't go that well in the 2nd race, so he sits 5th. I'm pretty sure he'll be thinking about the coming minutes of the 2nd race and his strategy. Barok is right on the tail of Matas Mendelis. It's not the easiest task to run these races with such a heavy car, competing with your rivals. I think especially on the Rebel Ring racetrack, it's a really difficult task for Matas Mendelis to maintain the tires and keep up with the pace. Manages to pull out in front of Barok, his main rival, from behind. Still sits quite close to his nearest rivals, who continue battling each other, and that's a battle for P2. So Biberacher, he's kind of feeling much more comfortable in the 2nd running. He finished 6th, now he's 3rd and right on the tail of Speth. Maybe that's also another different strategy of at least the tire pressures between these drivers, because Biberacher, he seems to be a little bit faster at this stage of the race, at least as Simon Speth is right now. Though Simon Speth doing a phenomenal job of defending the position, while Leo Bryan sees no problems whatsoever. Beautiful driving by Simon Speth. He, well, lagged a little bit to get back on that power. He knew that, he needs to get back on the power slightly later to avoid any chances of his rivals to overtake him. Luckily, the drivers behind didn't run into the back end of the car that Simon Speth is driving. And that allows Soldukas and Mendelis to come slightly closer to the rivals. Still, clever driving by Simon Speth. He managed to gain half of a second after that corner, and kind of pushed Biberacher into the clutches of Soldukas and Mendelis. Barok, he's falling behind. That makes Matas Mendelis a little bit happier, and I think Matas Mendelis will just try and sit out his time at this moment. He will try to run as close to the rivals as possible. Of course, if he'll see the opportunity, definitely he'll go for it. But look at Simon Speth. He just made a mistake on his own out of turn 1, ran a little bit too deep into that corner, clipped that outside curb or the sausage curb, and didn't have the greatest exit. Side by side into turn 3.
Holding it both side by side. Leo Bryan up in front is loving this, I'm sure. Cars behind battle behind as well for the 4th. As they go into this braking zone, I think Spef's just gonna
hold
it, maybe late. Not. Spef just about holds it. Biberacher couldn't get the exit. So Lucas holding on to 4th ahead of his teammate Mendelis, who's still stuck in 5th position.
Though with the fastest lap time of the race so far, Matas Mendelis, he managed to get into the 131, so only by 1,000 of a second. Well, it still proves that his tire pressure choice differs from the other drivers, but he doesn't have a chance to use out the difference to his own advantage. Even though he's slightly faster, that's not fast enough to gain those spots. So all he can do is try and be more precise driving that car, think about the tires and make no mistakes. That allows him to stay behind his rivals. O'Brien was the fastest car of the top 5 leading cars. That's good news for him. No wonder, because the cars behind, they just continue battle each other. And again, side by side, Biberacher and Speth into turn 3. Same scenario.
So much time to the lead as well. These battles, well, I'm sure Biberacher wants that 2nd position. Big slide, and that's gonna really make this run to turn 4 difficult.
You have to think about your tires. What you do with your right foot, that might hurt your pace, and too much of slides out of those corners might bring up the temperature a little bit to the higher side, which will hurt your runnings into the session. So while you battle it out really hard with your rivals, you can see the car became real twitchy. The white car on the circuit, well, it kind of loses traction from corner to corner, and it hurts the pace of Biberacher. Oh, Matas Mendelis, he went quite wide out of turn 7, it is, or 8th.
Oh, big slide by Biberacher as well. I think they need to really calm down and start to chase back Leo Bryan, because that gap, 2 seconds, it's going to be difficult to pull it down, depending on what lap times everybody else sets. Mickevicius.
Oh, so Lucas made a mistake. That's opening. He opened the door for Matas Mendelis, so he's just went up into P4, and well, so Lucas, he has the pace, but he's always kind of running into mistakes. Identical scenario, well, similar scenario between Biberacher and Speth. This time Biberacher decides to not go all the way into the outside of the corner, just try to get a good exit out of turn 3 to have a good run into turn 4. He's still a little bit too far behind, but well, maybe this is the moment that the drivers decided to not battle it out, though Simon Speth makes mistakes, and that's not how you gain on the leader. That's really difficult for Biberacher if he thinks that he's slightly faster than Speth, and he decided to... yeah, look at those tires. I think he hurt them a little bit too much, and well, we'll see more slides from the drivers. Mendelis, well, did he try to make some avoidance from Biberacher? I'm not sure, but he also went into a slide, which sent him right back into the front bumper of Justinas Soldukas. And well, the gap between Leo Bryan and Simon Speth is actually becoming slightly smaller. It's 1.9 seconds. So Speth, he managed to get away from Biberacher, and he's already up on pace.
This is the first time he's not under pressure, is Speth, so he's had a chance to try and run away. Now I think we'll see Mendelis trying to make moves on Biberacher, who's definitely used all the tires that he's had. It's obviously a condition that Soldukas doesn't try and make moves on Mendelis, and that Mendelis doesn't make any mistakes here. If he wants to catch up to Speth, he's gonna have to do something amazing. But Mendelis' main championship rival, Neirola, he's down in 8th, so looking good for Mendelis championship-wise. Let's see how good it is race-wise.
Oh, but Mendelis, he's struggling with the BOP, and he wants to stick up with his rivals, but I think it's really hard, especially while driving in the dirty air.
Yep, definitely. In the dirty air, it just becomes more and more difficult, especially with the kilos that he has. It's really not easy, and Mendelis now struggling to catch up, having a few slides himself. He's going to be under pressure from Soldukas. Maybe Soldukas will hold on for just a little bit longer, wait for his teammate to do something. Speth, fastest lap of the race, gained a lot of time. Soldukas a little bit wide, gained a lot of time on Leo Bryan. That battle's not done, you know, because Speth has shaken off the battle behind him. He's now got a chance at taking Leo Bryan, and this battle rages on as Soldukas tries to make a move on Mendelis, letting Biberacher go. And these two, they're in a battle, and that just destroys their chances of third. Would have to be an incredible run. This will do something. The teammates collide. Bit of a bump from behind, but no harm, at least not too much. Now Speth getting into that dirty air. He's going to have a bit more struggle to catch back up.
Looks like it's a good lap from Leo Bryan. Only 2/10 gained, at least up until this moment of the racetrack, by Simon Speth. Maybe he has an advantage on the final 2 corners, which is actually a really complicated and a difficult part of the circuit. You have to nail those 2 fast corners, not brake too late, to get back on the power as early as possible into the last corner. It looks like Simon Speth went a little bit faster through turn 10, regarding the map that Gustas Grimbergas is currently holding in his hands, and that's only 0.6 of a second between now, only 0.5 of a second now between the first position and the second place in this race, and we are on the penultimate lap of the race, so not a lot of corners remain on this relatively short track on the calendar for the Porsche Cup cars. Well, at least it's not short, but it doesn't have a lot of corners and not a lot of opportunities to overtake. But Simon Speth is doing a phenomenal job. 2.3 seconds advantage against Biberacher already, so he's definitely safe to try at least one risky move on Leo Bryan to try and get that win of the second race. Mendelis, well, he settled down in P5, and well, he understands that with a heavy car it's a really pleasant result so far, and seeing Soldukas and Biberacher battling right in front of him, he still can hold hopes of finishing a little bit higher than P5. He just needs to sit it out. It's only 0.3 of a second between Biberacher and Soldukas, and only 0.3 of a second between O'Brien and Speth.
Yep, they are side by side. Who's gonna blink first? Who's gonna be the last to brake? I think Biberacher was the last to brake because he went all sideways through T9, and now sideways was Soldukas. This is a chance for Mendelis to come back into it.
As they start the final lap of the second race, only 55 seconds on the clock. That's not enough to start another one, so not a lot of corners remain, but the drivers in front, Matas Mendelis, they just continue to run side by side. Pressure is on Speth, 0.4 of a second of Leo Bryan. I think he just tried to show his front bumper in the rear view mirrors of Leo Bryan. O'Brien doing a phenomenal job, even being slightly slower. Matas Mendelis trying to find a spot on the racetrack to fit in.
I tried to push Soldukas up in front, but It didn't happen. That battle for the lead. Down the inside goes Speff. I think they're going to touch. They are. And, well, Speff, I think he's going to have to give that position back up. He does. Very sportsman-like conduct from him to give that position up. Just knows that he made a mistake there. We'll see if he can make anything happen in these last few turns. He's still got a chance. It's not over yet. He's putting a lot of pressure on O'Brien. We've seen drivers make mistakes in these final few turns.
It looks like Lee O'Brien did one. It looks like Lee O'Brien went pretty much slower out of turn 8.
We're going to come side by side almost into the final turn. Is Speff going to try and make it down the inside? He does. And I think he's got the move done. I think he has.
Wow.
I don't think it's enough time for Lee O'Brien. Opened the door that Lee O'Brien and Simon Speff didn't need a second invitation. Simon Speff winner in race 2, and he wins the weekend as well. Well, wins the Tuesday night, as this is your checkered flag. Beautiful run by Simon Speff to take it through the final turn. Incredible move by him.
Yeah, phenomenal stuff, actually. I really loved the racing, and I was pretty sure that Lee O'Brien has it, but I think a small mistake through turns 7 and 8 allowed Simon Speff to get back right on the tail of O'Brien, and while it still seemed that O'Brien has it, Speff went for it, and well, he completed that move. Beautiful driving, and I think we can easily call that the move of the weekend of all the 4 races that we've witnessed this evening.
Yep, definitely. So, very interesting result once again of the race. It's Simon Speff who takes the win ahead of Lee O'Brien, Biberacher, Soldukas, Mendelis, McFly, Mickevicius, Neirola, Batok, Talianos. Difficult weekend for him. Mertz, Lapo, Gonzalo, Martin, and Gedzavicius rounds out the field.
Yep, beautiful sum up of the final race of the Tuesday evening. Let's take a last look at the results of the second race. As Gustas mentioned, I think Speff will hold the first place of both of the races when the points will be added up. So racing by Simon Speff, and well, the final results will get on the tables after the race control will review the replays. We had some contacts and there might be penalties issued, so the results are still provisional until race control will go through the replays and through all the complaints that drivers might have. So hope you had a great evening, and as always, we will meet again in 2 weeks' time. The calendar of the championship is heading towards United States of America, so on the 6th of August we will race at Road Atlanta Circuit. That's going to be the 4th round out of the 6 rounds of this championship. So hope to meet you then. Have a good evening, and hear you later.